Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So I just did the Dazzler origin story video, and I wanted to do the Longshot's origin, and that also encompasses Spiral and Mojo. So I'm going to try to keep this to just one part, but it might be two, considering all that's involved in his origin story. So anyway, so what's interesting to me about him is that most characters, they're part of a team or they've had several appearances in comic books, it's like a guest star or something, and then they get their own miniseries. Well, Longshot actually got his own miniseries first, before he was even introduced into the comic book. So in 1985, he had a 6-issue miniseries that introduced him and Mojo and Spiral, which, like I said, I just found it interesting that he got a miniseries before he was actually a character in comics. Because usually it's not that way in comics. Anyway, so I couldn't find his miniseries. Like, I'm not sure if I have it. I might, but I couldn't find it. But but did find his first appearance. Where he joins the X-Men, and this is Giant Santa's annual X-Men 10. And I won't go through the whole thing because, I mean, you know, it's a pretty thick book, but I'll just hit the highlights of it. And of course, well, this and also his origin also involves, like I said, Mojo and Spiral, which Mojo, I I got all these action figures, like I got them from when I did the video. I got them for these videos too because I thought, well, it's just handy to have a visual. So Mojo is a race of um, belongs to a race called the Spineless Ones, and they actually have to have like technology in order to get around because they don't have like that ability on their own. And basically, Mojo rules this dimension, Mojo World, where I mean, he named it after himself. Of course, he has a huge ego. Where pretty much whoever has the highest television ratings rules. He's in charge. So he had his geneticist create Longshot and Spiral and a bunch of other characters to basically star in his Mojo's television shows. What's interesting though is that lead geneticist, like genetic engineers, I forgot his name, but he actually gave Longshot and a bunch of other characters creations free will so that they would one day rise up and overthrow Mojo because he's pretty much a tyrant. He's a dictator his way or the highway. All he cares about is ratings. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't care about free will. He doesn't care that everyone has food or anything. It's all about him. Anyway, so the lead geneticist created them with free will, so that they would hopefully, and that was what happens is Longshot eventually rises up and leads the rebellion against Mojo. So he was created like he has 3 fingers and a thumb on each hand, hollow bones. He has the ability to like have luck on his side, like alter probability. Um, he also has like superhuman, agility, dexterity, um, things like that, things that make him an excellent fighter, and able to dodge things. Every time I say dodge, I think of Dodgeball, that movie. And then the guy throwing wrenches at them, saying, "If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball." Oh, that's a funny movie. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't mean to get off on tangents. I just do. Anyway, back to this. Um, so he also has somewhat of a healing factor, a healing ability, because of course, being the star of the show, and having all these, it's an action show and having all these guys chasing after him and shooting at him and, weapons flying everywhere. So he would have to be able to heal himself somewhat. He also has this like ability to psychically read like objects and places. Like I did Uncanny X-Men 230 is where the X-Men play Santa Claus thanks to Longshot's ability to do that. It's a fun issue. I mean, there's no battles or anything. It's just a fun kind of Christmas issue. It's on my channel if you want to check that out. So anyway, and his mostly though, like I said, the superhuman agility, dexterity, um, stuff like that. I just went blank on the other word. That and his probability altering powers, so to speak, his luck. Those are his biggest strengths, and that's what made and he also has like charisma built in. He's like charming and charismatic, and like women love him. Like Shadowcat had a crush on him. Rogue had a crush on him. Of course, he eventually ended up with Dazzler, but that leads into Spiral. So on one of the instances where he was running away from Mojo, he ended up on Earth and ran into Rita Wayward, who was called Ricochet Rita because she was a stunt woman in Hollywood. And she just, fell in love with him, traveled back with him to Mojo World, where unfortunately she was captured and tortured for years, and he had his memory erased, and he totally doesn't even remember her. Longshot loses his memory a lot. I mean, like a lot, a lot. That is like one of his origins. One of his origin story points is he loses, and one of his, character points is he loses his memory a lot. So anyway, so they get captured. He loses his memory, forgets all about her. She's tortured for years and basically tortured and becomes Spiral. They, push her mind beyond the breaking point to where now she can see into different dimensions. They also teach her the dark arts and body modification. So she runs the body shop. It's responsible for Lady Deathstrike and the upgrades to the Reavers. And she also gives Psylocke her bionic eyes before she joins the X-Men. Spiral replaces Psylocke's eyes with bionic eyes so that Mojo can spy on the X-Men. So basically, Mojo can broadcast everything that Psylocke sees to his audience. So, which gets him really good ratings because the X-Men are always like ratings gold. So anyway, so Spiral has a hand in a lot of stuff, and Spiral is also responsible for the whole the body swapping, mind melding. Psylocke and her, Asian alter ego. Now I'm drawing a blank on her name, but I talked about that in the action figure review I did on Psylocke and Phantom X and Nimrod. So if you want to learn all about that messy story, you can watch that one. And yeah, it's a very messy story. But anyway, so Spiral is really, I mean, she's involved heavily in Psylocke's life. And I think she's just like, I retrieved this too. I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to open it. I just haven't yet because I'm like, it's just hard for me to open stuff that is like that because I'm an in the box collector and I have been for years. Well, I've like ever since I started recollecting action figures, it's been like the last 2 or 3 years. I just left them in the boxes, and I just like the VHS ones and the Mojo set. The boxes were meant to be opened, and you couldn't ruin the boxes by opening stuff. So I just, I opened those boxes because you could. But so I haven't opened this yet. I've had a hard time, but I will open it carefully. Anyway, I just think Spiral is a really cool character. She has a really cool design. I mean, I just really I've talked about it in the Spiral action figure video I did. I just really like her design. I think it's really cool. It's like one of the coolest designs that that an X-Men character has, to be honest. So anyway, so there's like a brief overview origin story. And so like I said, I won't go through this whole thing because it's pretty big. So I'll just hit the highlights. So here we see Mojo watching the X-Men, through Psylocke's bionic eyes. Um, and Spiral's always like, she hates Longshot now because basically he's the reason she became what she did. And really it's weird because like time travel, but Spiral is the one that was chasing him when he ran into Rita. And even though Spiral is Rita from the future, basically Spiral from the future caused Rita in the past to become future Spiral. It's very complicated. I mean time travel. It's always complicated. So there's this big burst of light and then this big like pop all of a sudden and the X-Men are all in the danger room training. So that happens and then they get this goo all over them. And they're like, what the heck's going on? And then there's this guy there, laying there. And Psylocke tries to get an imprint off of him, and she can't. She's like, there's nothing there. There's no sense of who he is, no coherence, no nothing. And they're trying to get a sample of it, the goo, so they can analyze it. And then all of a sudden it just all, disappears. Even though all the X-Men were covered with it. So what happens is basically, like I said, I will just kind of give you the summary of this. What happens is the X-Men start to de-age, and here they are, teenagers, and the New Mutants, who are also in the mansion at the time, are like, "What's going on? I don't understand." So, um, so Cypher, Douglas Ramsey, more merges with Warlock in order to get in order to analyze what's going on because they couldn't get a sample of the goo stuff because it just disappeared. And Longshot, he's still out of it, and Psylocke couldn't get any reading off of him. So they merge and turn into Douglock in order to. I think this is the first appearance, or maybe the first time that they do that, or like in the comic books that we see anyway. I'm not positive, but I think so. Anyway, so they realize that this is kind of like the time the New Mutants got kidnapped by Spiral and Mojo. The New Mutants Annual 2. That's what it says. I'm pretty sure I have that one because I'm pretty sure I remember reading that story. But like this one, like I said, is where a Longshot joins the team. So that's why I chose to do this one. And here they are. The X-Men are even younger. They're now babies, like ex-babies right there. So what happens is, of course, the New Mutants are like, okay, what's going on? What are we supposed to do? Yeah. Okay, sorry. I just like it to me this next panel is kind of funny. So these are their graduation costumes. I don't know if they designed these themselves or if these were the costumes that were designed for them, but they're just kind of I mean like here's Brain, Wolfsbane, and her costume like looks like it has nothing to do with her powers. Here's Danny Moonstar, which has the fringe on it, but I don't understand why there's like this jacket and then swimsuit bottoms and then like these fitted boots and then they're loose at the bottom. And then Karma, I mean, she has the yin and yang symbol on her chest, but other than that, and then Cannonball as the helmet, I guess, because he's invulnerable when blasting, so he needs a helmet. And then Magic, hers kind of looks a little bit mysterious with the hood. And Sunspot, just I don't know, costume. And then here's Cypher, who looks like he has all these pouches. And like this visor that almost makes him look like Cyclops. And then there's Warlock in the back who has a human face. And then Magma. Hers makes sense because hers looks like fire. But I mean, it's cool that they have individual costumes, but at the same time, their costumes don't look like they go together at all. And they also don't really they don't seem like they go with their powers, so to speak. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So, because they're like, this is our first big mission. We're going to go rescue the X-Men. So tonight we are the X-Men, and here's our graduation costumes. So, Magic teleports them, but unfortunately, sure, her stepping disc is disrupted, and she's like, "What happened? I don't understand." And you see Spiral, and basically Spiral transported them to where the X-Men were, and the X-Men are still kids. And what's weird is that they are transported to this theater, the stage of the Delacorte Theater, midway through the first act of New York Shakespeare's Festival summer production of A Comedy of Errors. So anyway, they're transported to the stage, and the audience is like, "What's going on? Is this part of the production? I don't remember this." So basically, they fight each other. Of course, the New Mutants are trying not to hurt the X-Men, but of course the X-Men are trying to hurt the New Mutants. And okay, and then what happens is that uh, it's Magma. She's like, well, okay, now they're aging back up from when they were little. So does that mean once they age to their true ages, that Mojo's hold on them will become permanent? So, like I said, you see the panels and they're fighting each other, and Spiral remembers when she was the star instead of Longshot. And she was, the main attraction. And of course, at that point, just ignore that. At that point, Longshot had become the bigger star. And so in one time when the choreography, she was supposed to take the fall and she changed it so that she could, prevail, and Mojo didn't like that. Anyway, so Longshot has joined in the fight too. Like I said, they're fighting each other. Rogue right there stole some Sunspot's powers. Wolverine, he has a Mojo mask on, and Karma's telling him, to fight this control, because of course he has been under, other people's control before, and he hates it because look, you can see he broke through and says, well, you can read it. So he tries to go after Mojo, and he also, like the audience, there's still an audience watching this, and you can see Kitty now going after Mojo. She can phase through things, and that disrupts them. And by phasing through Mojo, she disrupts the biotechnological mechanisms of his chair. So basically, now his control over the X-Men has ended, and they realize what's happened. And so they, gang up against Mojo and Spiral. and basically tell Spiral, hey, because Mojo has disappeared. He's like, well, I'm out of here because I can see where this is going. So he leaves before the X-Men can even get to him. So they found Spiral though. She's unconscious, and so they wake her up and say, put this theater back the way it was and transport us home. So that's what she does. And meanwhile, like Mojo leaves um, Spiral stranded on Earth because she failed to capture Longshot. And now Longshot is, has joined the team, and like he's fascinated by water because I guess he's never seen water. And so basically at this point, yeah, he joins the team. What else is interesting is like on this last page where Mojo's talking to his, major domo. And he says basically the X-Men are the reason I'm here, that the I am the reason the X-Men are heroes, because what are heroes without someone to, be antagonistic towards them? And he's leaving Longshot with them so that, they can so Longshot can win over them, win their hearts, because, he does have that charisma. And then Mojo can come back and break them. So, and plus, he says his presence on Earth will irritate Spiral, because that's her punishment, being left on Earth without her teleportation powers. uh, for failure of um, capturing Longshot. And what's interesting is that in let's see, yeah, so Spiral joins Freedom Force, which is like a government-backed mutant group led by Mystique, which seems weird because, basically it's villains. Um, Sorry, I thought I marked this page, but I guess not. So Uncanny X-Men 199. See, there's Freedom Force, and you can see Spiral there. And basically, the whole Spiral is like super bloodthirsty, and she's even worse than her teammates in terms of like, because she's so mad that she's stuck on Earth, and she's just she hates Longshot so much that she just I mean, she doesn't have her teleportation powers, but she still has like spell casting, because here she turns Magneto's, you know, his powers back on him, because here they are fighting the X-Men, and she basically almost defeats the X-Men all by herself. Spiral does. See, like here's Spiral, she has Magneto, and then here's Mystique about to, kill him, and then but Cyclops next knocks out Spiral. So anyway, it's just interesting that because since she's stuck on Earth, Spiral has joined the Freedom Force. um yeah. You never think that's gonna happen. And of course Freedom Force wasn't supposed to be bad guys. I mean, but they are bad guys. Um yeah. It's kind of like the Thunderbolts when they first premiered, government or like a team of heroes, but um yeah. I don't want to spoil it in case you guys don't know who that is, or I mean, I assume everyone has heard of that, but you never know. Anyway, so I guess I will end this video and just briefly kind of talk about um where the Longshot story has gone since then, and also the X babies. because we didn't really touch on that in this video, even though I have done a story on the X babies already, or a video on them. The Mojo Mayhem. So if you want to learn more about the X babies, you should check that one out. But yeah, I think I'll just do another, it'll be a quicker video on the X babies next. So I hope you join me for that, and I hope you subscribe, and so you don't miss future videos. Until next time, bye.